Hi you guys, welcome to video 2 where we focus all on developing a winning mindset. I think you guys are really going to like this video. It focuses all on how having a positive perception or perspective of online learning in your studies this semester, even though things look a little bit different, can really benefit you in the long run, and I'm going to show you exactly how we can do that. Cheers!
Mindset is everything in online learning, but it's easy to hold a perspective full of doom and gloom, one that's really negative, or maybe one that's just really wet. But all you have to remember is to take a deep breath, a step backwards, to realize we're all in charge of our own learning. We're also in control of our own perspective and whatever mindset we choose. And when we start seeing the positives, and the good in each situation, along with the learning lesson, we might just in fact realize that it's been sunny this entire time.
Alright, so you know how the semester goes in peaks and valleys? You kind of start the semester, it's kind of chill, and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, boom, first assignment, first midterm, whatever it is. And then the semester kind of goes down again, and kind of like you get a chance to relax and take a breath, and then all of a sudden, boom, and your second set of assignments are due, or your assessments. Maybe it's your second round of midterms, and then reading break kind of happens, and then it's kind of chill again, and then at the end of the semester, there's another big peak, and it's kind of can be a really intense time. And so when we talk about mindset, the whole reason why we need to think about mindset and kind of recognize what mindset we're really holding is because the semester works in these peaks and valleys. And in order to stay motivated during these really intense times of the semester, we really have to figure out, well, why we're here in the first place. So in order to do that, you have to think about the epic quote from Stephen Covey about starting with the end in mind. So where are you trying to go? You need to ask yourself questions like, well, why am I here during the semester? What's my end game? What's my end goal? And why? And so if you understand why you're completing the semester in the first place, why you're in your certain degree program or diploma program or certificate, wherever you are, if you ask yourself, well, why are you here? It'll help keep you motivated during those really kind of intense times during the semester. And I think it's really common for students to get to a point where it feels like, oh my gosh, there's just too much to do. I don't think I can do this. And you start that self-doubt really kind of creeps in. If you're attached to your why and you know where you're going to end up, it's a lot easier to stay motivated. And so that's a really good tip that you can utilize to help get you through this next semester. And so if you've never heard of this way of thinking before, I wanted to list just 3 different types of resources for you. If you're a student that's maybe looking for a little bit extra, or you're have some downtime and you want to explore this a little bit more, these 3 resources are very different from each other, but they're kind of a good starting place. And they don't relate to online learning directly, but they certainly relate to where you probably are as a student. And they're great professional development resources as well. So I think you guys might really enjoy those. And then after you figure out, okay, well, where the heck am I going? Where am I trying to end up? And for a lot of you, that'll probably be related to a job of some type. Maybe you're in school or you're taking your studies right now to get a better job. Maybe you're improving on your current job, or maybe you're looking at different career aspirations or different career types. And so once you know why you're here, you really have to figure out, okay, well, where am I starting right now? And because the semester looks a little bit different than kind of what I think any of us were expecting, I wanted to get this graphic made about the kind of the spectrum of students that I typically see in an online course, because I thought it was a really helpful way to visualize that everyone in a course kind of is at a different point. And there's lots of different types of feelings towards online learning. And wherever you are on the spectrum, know that it's okay. It doesn't matter if you're at the beginning, the super chill, I've done this before, I've got this. If you've maybe had a negative experience, but you're willing to try again. If you're towards the overwhelmed part of the spectrum, just know that you're not alone. A lot of students find themselves here, especially when they're new to online learning. It can put you in a little bit of this panicky stage. You can be nervous, But then there's also this self-doubt that kind of creeps in, and it can get to the point where you're either saying to yourself, I don't think I can do this, this is really hard, or maybe you've already reached the point where you just had a bad experience with online learning. You hate online learning and you can't do this. And the reason why I wanted to put this in a visual is because you have to recognize, okay, well, where am I currently in terms of where my feelings towards online learning, to figure out how you can better navigate your perceptions and your mindset to really set yourself up for success. Because if you live in the I'm terrified and I hate online learning for this whole semester, you're going to have a really hard time with balancing learning the content of your courses, balancing life on top of that, and then trying to figure out how to navigate this new way of learning. And so these following resources can really help you kind of transition into maybe better feelings towards online learning and to at least hold a better mindset. And that's something that we can all do ourselves. So you don't need a lot of resources in order to change your mindset. You really just have to make your own decision that you're ready to do that. And so these next slides will give you some strategies about how to do that. So if you're new to the whole idea of mindset, I just wanted to put a definition here. So Jim Kwik defines it as the assumptions, attitudes, and the beliefs that we hold in terms of what we deserve, what we're capable of, and what you believe is in your power. And so there's lots of, while mindset can be a little bit of a fluffy topic, there's lots of brain science that's coming out that can prove if we talk to ourselves in a negative way, and we say things like, I hate online learning, and I really, like, if you get into the mindset of where you're really negative, and there's lots of science now that can prove that that's what you're going to find. But if you switch your brain a little bit and you have a more positive perspective, you're going to find kind of the lessons and the positives and some more benefits to having a positive mindset than a negative mindset. And I'm going to get into that in a second, but at first I wanted to share this slide because this is a really neat way of thinking, and I think it'll be really helpful for you guys. So it's really easy when we talk about mindset to say, oh yeah, have a positive mindset. And that's so much easier said than done, right? We all know that we can all get in a slump. We can all talk to ourselves in a really negative way. And it's hard to get out of that, especially if you're struggling with some kind of task like trying to consume information in online learning, which maybe is new to you. So I wanted to share this. This is from John Afranoff's book, Inner Size. And I just heard him on a podcast, and this is just a really small little snippet of kind of the science that he's investigating and sharing, but I thought it would be really helpful. So there's two parts of our brain, a Frankenstein and an Einstein, and they run together at the same time. The trouble is that the Frankenstein and the Einstein are in this like continual boxing match, and Frankenstein and Einstein are trying to one-up each other. But again, the trouble is that Frankenstein, he's the fear part of our brain. So if you've ever had a negative experience, say with online learning, if maybe you've had just a negative experience with learning in general, maybe he's the part of the brain that looks for things that have gone wrong, danger, things that can hurt you, things that have happened in the past that haven't gone well, and he's going to hold on to those. And anytime there's a scenario such as jumping into a full semester of online learning where there's potential for negative feelings to come about, he will either tell you to fight, or freeze. And that really he's like the brakes. If you think about a car, he puts the brakes on kind of motivation, ability to kind of move forward with the task at hand. And then the trouble with that is that Einstein is our creative part of our brain. So the brain where we're tapping into innovation, where we're tapping into flow, where, when you get a study session going and it's like, wow, all of a sudden I'm learning so much. I've written my whole paper in 1 hour. When you're in that sense or that state of flow, you are in your Einstein part of your brain. But you can't access Einstein until you get rid of Frankenstein and kind of make peace with him and kind of just tell him to be quiet and put him aside. And so I thought that was really helpful for you guys because, again, it's really easy to say, oh, well, have a positive mindset. But the brain science research is telling us that there's much more to that, and that there's different, not barriers, but different kind of things that are getting in our path that are preventing us from easily accessing a positive mindset or the Einstein part of our brain. So what can you do to help yourself? Know that mindset is a balancing act. Like I said, it's really easy to get into a negative kind of frame of mind, but what I want you to do is just recognize, like, okay, well, how am I talking about my online learning experience? How am I talking about how I learn online? How am I talking to myself? Because if you hold that negative perspective, know that you're setting yourself up likely to be in a negative mood. You're going to have a poor learning experience, and you're likely going to be exhausted because you're not replenishing your mind or with positive reinforcement, or at least being kind to yourself. And so try and just reframe your thinking by looking for positives and the takeaways, because these can really benefit you with your mood, but also how you go about your learning experience and what you can take away from that experience. In the next video, I talk all about how there's lots of really good skills we can gain from this semester in terms of what recreation, tourism, and hospitality businesses are looking for in terms of skills and attributes relating to navigating the online world. So if you just try to reframe your thinking, there's lots of lessons and takeaways here that can really benefit yourself. It'll set you up for a better learning experience, but it will also probably just generally make you a happier person. So if you don't really believe this mindset stuff, just say to yourself, well, do I want to be an unhappy person or a happy person? And choosing a positive mindset we know can make us a happier person. So 2 really tangible tips here. Create and stick to a really realistic routine. So make a routine for yourself. So when you're starting your class or starting to consume your content, however that looks for you, use something called habit hacking. And so it's associating a really enjoyable thing, whatever that is for you, with the task at hand. So for example, my thing, anytime I teach, anytime I lecture, anytime I take a class as a student, my realistic routine is I always have a hot cup of tea, I always have a water bottle, and I always play a CD by Norah Jones. And it's a really realistic routine. It can be done in 5 minutes. It can be done over 25 minutes. But I do that every single time. And because all 3 of those things are a positive association for myself, and I've attached them to teaching or attached them to studying, it makes that task more enjoyable. It also, because it's a routine, it sets me up for the right frame of mind where my brain, before I'm even really doing those things, I'm already ready to be teaching, lecturing, or consuming information as a student. And so it's a really helpful little habit hack for you guys to take part in. And again, make it realistic for yourself. It doesn't have to be a big, large, or kind of this big thing. Just make it simple and it'll be really helpful. This is a really good quote from Jim talking about how having an open mind is really important. And so your mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. Again, I know mindset can be a bit fluffy, but there's lots of brain science here that says that if we approach new things, such as a new way of learning, with an open mind, we can really reap the benefits of that. And so just kind of going over a recap of everything we just covered, really stay connected with your why. If you don't know what that is, ask yourself, well, why am I here? Why am I studying this particular thing? And if you need a little bit of help, go back to those 3 resources that I posted there. Remember that mindset can make or break your semester. So try and reframe your thoughts. If you find and start recognizing that you actually have a lot of negative thoughts, that can be really helpful for you. Use those habit hacking tricks, and try and be open to new ways of learning and consuming information, because again, there's lots of positives that you can take out of here, and you'll see that in the next video. So I'm super excited to jump into that with you guys. At the very least, be kind to yourself. You guys are doing great. You can do this, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.